Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. My name is Ruben and today we're going to talk about the big ideas from ARKInvest from 2021. And this part will be about episode 7, electric vehicles. To kick it off, EV sales should accelerate significantly. Electric vehicles are approaching sticker price parity with gas-powered cars. Leaders in the EV market are developing innovative battery designs to enable longer range vehicles at lower costs. And based on Wright's law, ARK forecasts that EV sales should increase roughly 20-fold from 2.2 million in 2020 to 40 million units in 2025. And the biggest downside risk that they argue is that in their forecast is whether traditional automakers can transition successfully to electric and autonomous vehicles. Electric vehicle sales have taken share in good times and tough times. While sales of gas-powered vehicles decreased during the recent COVID-19 pandemic, EV sales continued to increase globally. You can put this in a graph. On the x-axis we have time, 2019 and 2020, and on the y-axis we have the percentage of vehicle sales growth. If you look at the dark purple color, that's the gas-powered car. In 2019 it was -4%, and in 2020 it even decreased -15%. If you now look at the light purple color, which represents the electric vehicle, it increased already 16% in 2019 and 1/3 in 2020. Wright's law has modeled the decline in battery costs successfully. According to Wright's law, for every cumulative doubling of units produced, battery cell costs will fall by 28%, and the largest cost component of an EV is actually its battery, so these cost declines are critical to reaching price parity with gas-powered vehicles. You can also put this in a graph. The Li-ion cost decline model. On the x-axis we have the cumulative megawatt per hour produced, and megawatt hour is a unit of measure of electric energy, and on the y-axis we have the US dollar cost per kilowatt per hour. Then you have this decreasing green line, which is the model cost decline. And then these purple dots, they represent the forecast cost decline in the future. This sheet represents the cost comparison between a traditional car and an electric vehicle. Electric vehicles are approaching sticker price parity with gas-powered cars. The total cost of ownership for a like-for-like EV dropped below that of a Toyota Camry in 2019, and soon sticker prices likely will do the same. You have the graph here. On the x-axis we have time, and on the y-axis we have the US dollar in MSRP, which stands for manufacturer suggested retail price. If you look at the black bars, in 2019 the electric vehicle is still more expensive with a price of $50,000, but if you fast forward to 2025, ARK estimates that a 350-mile range EV, which represents the purple color, is cheaper than a Toyota Camry. In addition to cost, EVs are also competing on range and performance. The auto market is undergoing a shift to both electric and autonomous. ARK believes that traditional automakers lack the software and electrical engineering talent necessary to succeed. They made a comparison between electric vehicle efficiency versus performance. On the x-axis we have accelerations from 0 to 60 miles per hour in seconds, and on the y-axis we have the EPA range per kilowatt per hour. On the top left we have the Hyundai Ioniq, and on the bottom right represents the Porsche Taycan Turbo S, and on the bottom right is represented by the Tesla cars, which have better performance and also better electric vehicle efficiency. At today's battery prices, cell-to-vehicle technology enables long-range EVs at lower prices. How most EVs are manufactured today? Well, you have battery cells, and these battery cells, you can put them in a module. If you have a module, then these battery cells in modules, you can put them in a pack. If you have these packs, then the battery cells in modules in a pack, you put them in a vehicle. Cell-to-vehicle designs increase the volumetric density of batteries by 50% relative to battery cells integrated into modules and packs. And how the leaders in the space are manufacturing EVs? Well, they have this cell-to-battery per pack per vehicle. So the leaders, they don't use modules. And in this mass market segment, cell-to-vehicle technology should enable EV makers to lower energy density and cost cells, producing more kilowatt hours to increase the range of vehicles. Still, this comparison, the cell-to-pack module-to-pack represents a 40% volumetric density. That's like for a traditional EV maker, but for the leaders, they apply a cell-to-pack method, and that has a volumetric density of 60%. At a given battery pack size, cell-to-vehicle technology should enable longer range vehicles at lower price points. One of the markets where electric vehicles are booming is China.
Let's take a look at how China came to control the market. The country decided over a decade ago that it wanted to be the world leader in electric cars.
The EV industry in China is one that has been very interesting to me because it's an example of how government policy can potentially drive innovation in an industry.
China's betting big on electric vehicles for several reasons. First, they've always been a follower in traditional vehicles, and they wanted to find a way to catch up technologically and not be dependent on Europe or the US on engine technology. Also, they have a significant air pollution problem, and they're also the world's largest importer of oil.
China is the world's biggest emitter of greenhouse gases and has pledged to be carbon neutral by 2060. In an effort to support the adoption of EVs, the Chinese government has played a massive role. It has spent tens of billions of dollars to support the sales of electric vehicles.
It's no secret that without regulation, without rules, without subsidies, electric vehicles would have never gotten off the ground, whether it's in California, in China, or in Europe. It's been the government pushing the electric vehicle future. China's been the most aggressive in this regard.
China has subsidies and incentives that benefit automakers, suppliers, and consumers.
In certain cities, for example in Beijing, you can only have access to the city center in a car if you're driving an electric vehicle. Elsewhere in Shanghai, there's an incentive. If you buy a gasoline-powered car, you must first of all pay $12,000 for the license plate, just to have the rights to buy the car. Now, if you buy an EV, they waive that licensing fee. You get it for free, you save $12,000.
And then even in cities that are not restricted registration-wise, they kind of restrict your access to the road. You can only, if you drive a ICE car, you can only go onto the street between certain time and a certain time, and perhaps certain days during the week.
An ICE car is short for internal combustion engine. China also has a quota system for manufacturers. They must produce a certain percentage of electric vehicles every year, or they are fined. But some question if this is sustainable. In 2019, after the government cut back on some incentives, sales fell, and the shares of EVs overall dropped from 8% in mid-2019 to 5% by the end of the year.
Other than Tesla, the only way to sell EVs so far has been through subsidies, whether it's state or federal. We saw that in China a lot. What we haven't seen is organic demand, really, outside of incentives or early adopters.
The amount of funding that has been poured into the industry, it's mind-boggling. It is 33% of all sales, not 33% of profits, but 33% of all sales. This is a government-created market.
But subsidies cannot last forever, and some think with the introduction of more luxury brands like Tesla, consumers can eventually be weaned off them.
I think the perception is that China's winning the electric vehicle race because there's so many subsidies in place. But if we look closer, something happened in 2020 that shifted the picture. When Tesla arrived in the market and other EV startups like NIO and XPeng began to deliver highly desirable, good-looking, reliable, long-range vehicles, Chinese customers for the first time said, we don't need subsidies to make the decision to buy this electric car.
In the US, there is a $7,500 tax credit available, but not all cars are eligible, and the incentive goes away if the automaker sells more than 200,000 cars. Tesla hit that threshold in 2018. Democrats have introduced a new bill to expand the credit for automakers who have hit the threshold and have extended the limit to 400,000 cars for a $7,000 tax credit.
Putting everything together, if traditional automakers overcome obstacles, then the global EV sales could scale from roughly 20-fold, from 2.2 million in 2020 to 40 million by by 2025. So the global electric vehicle sales have a compound annual growth rate of 82%. And also ARK expects that the sales of these smaller, cheaper and neighborhood electric vehicles will rise dramatically as a share of total EV sales. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and that you actually learned something, and see you on the next part.